Hello everyone, and welcome to the PERS Retirement Panel discussion. I'm your host, Colin. I have 18 years of service and I'm an active PERS member. I'm also chairperson of the Oregon Savings and Growth Plan Advisory Committee. This discussion is intended to assist current PERS members by hearing firsthand experiences from people who are already retired. I'd like to introduce our panelists, starting with Brian, who retired a few years ago with 35 years of service. Next we have Pam, who retired recently with over 32 years of service. And we have Jean, who retired in 2018 with 11 years of service. Jean was a member of the Oregon Public Service Retirement Plan. I will be asking the panel a series of questions that come directly from PERS members. So let's jump right in. Brian, did you have any particular retirement goal in mind when you began your career?
No, I didn't. I just figured when the time was right, I would just kind of know that. My family and I would talk it over, but I didn't have any set preconceived notion, no.
How about some of the others? Either of you have any sort of ideas about when you'd retire or how many years you'd work?
At 25, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to be.
How about you, Pam?
My retirement was more of a surprise.
Okay.
Because I really hadn't planned for anything.
Okay. Well, in addition to your PERS retirement, did any of the three of you save or invest on your own?
I'm a longtime member, or was a longtime member of OSGP, the Oregon Savings Growth Plan.
Of the Oregon Savings and Growth Plan? Okay.
And we also had outside investments.
Okay. And Jean, you are on the Oregon Savings and Growth Plan
Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee. Thank you, Jean. Yeah, so did you participate in Oregon Savings and Growth Plan prior to your retirement?
Yes, entirely. It was a great program, and I enjoyed doing that, plus the fact that in my prior involvement with other industries, I also was savings, and I had a 401k, so that was a help in moving forward. But most of that started at about the time that I was about 40. Prior to that, I was off doing other things.
Okay. That seems like a pretty common scenario that people don't really start thinking about retirement until later. Is that kind of your experience, Pam?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really have any sense of retiring until my sister retired. And she's like, come on, let's do this.
Okay.
So that's when I did it.
Well, great. Do you feel like you retired at the right time?
I'm still vibrant enough to go do what I want to do, but at the same time, my mind, I need to keep it sharp. So I may consider doing something in the future, but.
Well, and Brian, you're actually doing a little bit of work even in your retirement, is that right?
Yes, as you said, I worked for the state for 35 years, the last 30 being with PERS, where I retired as the assistant COO. I was responsible for all day-to-day operations, including all calculations for all the retirement programs. And so to kind of keep active, I do some consulting on the side, part-time.
Okay. What advice would any of the three of you give to a member who's about 5 years out from retirement?
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
Definitely plan ahead.
That's a good one.
You need to stop and think about what you want to be. And for most people, when they retire, say at 65, they need to have a game plan that says that they're going to have income for the next 30 years. Now they may, depending on their background and the history of their family, have shorter or longer lifespans, but you should plan ahead.
All right. Pam, how about you?
Well, I actually worked with a person, a company, who helped us kind of look at our overall plan for the future and decided that, you know, based on the information that he was able to calculate for me, we were able to decide, move ahead. You know, short of, you know, when you're 62 versus when you're 65, what do you do? You know, do you look at your Social Security?
Sure.
Do you look at the future and say, hold until then, until you get to 65? What do you do? So I had no clue that I should be looking at any of that because I thought I was still young and able to do what I wanted to do. And here I am, retired, and it's just a blessing. It's amazing. So.
Now, Brian, you're the CEO of PERS. Did you use a financial professional before you retired?
I did.
Did you?
Different options, like whether to roll over or not roll over, buy an annuity, be in a broker account. So, yeah, did all those things.
Okay.
I just wanted to add on the 5 years, though. get your benefit estimates. PERS only does them if you're 2 years from retirement, but you can go online and do all the what-if estimates you want. So I'd encourage that. Also, look into the health insurance situation. As we all know, that's a biggie.
Well, let's talk about that. Actually, health insurance is a major consideration for all of you. How do the three of you approach that?
Well, I researched on my own, whether it was PERS sponsored, non-PERS sponsored. I actually even got a broker. There's brokers out there who will look around for the best deal for you for free even.
Oh,
so I used that and just got a lot of information, what was best for me and my family. But that is a big consideration, I would say, for when you retire.
Gene, what about you?
I ended up with a Medicare Advantage plan because Medicare itself is not enough to be able to make me feel comfortable. So I got an Advantage plan through Prudential, and it's working well.
Pam, it looks like you wanted to jump in and say something.
Well, I was going to say I was very fortunate because my husband was military for 21 years. So I was very fortunate in the sense that when I retired and he's also retired, we were able to go on TRICARE, which is the military plan. And so that made our decision even easier because there's no out-of-pocket for us. So we were very blessed with the idea that, we can choose whatever. We have our same doctors, and it's amazing to be able to do that.
So what about Social Security considerations? Did any of you consider applying for Social Security early? And if not, what prompted you to delay the decision to collect Social Security?
Well, when I retired, two gentlemen that I used to work with who were mentors of mine, if you will, they'd already retired, and they both recommended that I take it early at age 62. And so I did some math on that. 62 early, for me it was 66 and a half for full. And what I could draw in those 4.5 years, I did the math and I broke even like age 77. Now, will I be alive? Yeah, but what kind of shape would I be in? So my family and I decided to file for early.
Okay. So what about Pam, did you
did the same thing. With our consultant and persons that helped us make the decision. And I talked to a lot of older folks in our life that said, what's holding you back? Just, it's going to be there, so you might as well just do it.
Okay.
So.
Gene?
I waited until later. And because of waiting until later, you ended up with a larger amount. And it grew at a very significant rate. And I said, okay, fine. I didn't need the money at the time. So.
Okay. Do you think some of your prior planning for retirement helped you in your decision to defer taking Social Security?
Yes, very definitely.
I bet.
I mean, I sat down and kind of worked my way through it. And starting with the 401k program, there were a series of different options that you had. But with OSGP, you end up with a very nice group of plans that you can be involved in. And then with the other two plans that I have, I can invest in other things. Most of it is in the stock market, but that depends on how aggressive you want to be. Some people aren't. Some people want to be more cautious.
Well, as you pointed out, in the Oregon Savings and Growth Plan, there's a wide variety of options, really suitable for just about anybody. Is that what you
Very
agree
true.
with? Yes, okay. And I'm going to ask this generally, what steps did you take to prepare for retirement? And the three of you have touched on a little bit of the financial preparations, but what about other sorts of preparations did you make for retirement?
Well, I would say, in my opinion, that, we talk to our spouses or significant others, and we make the decision as a couple, a family, and you have to kind of know what you want to do with the rest of your life. And we happen to have a lot of outside things that we do, not just in travel, not just in getting to go and have fun doing things, but we also work in our home. We have, I'm also a wedding and party planner.
Oh, okay.
And I also, we do repurposing of old furniture and do a lot of projects for other folks. They bring us their things that need to be redone, and we do it. So we're very busy, and you have to kind of keep that going. You can't just let it sit in a chair and watch TV all day.
Sure. Well, and Brian, as we touched on earlier, you worked a long career, 35 years, and you're still working, at least to some degree.
Yeah, just part-time as clients, I'm on radio occasionally, and I'll get calls, but it's just when I want to do it, not because I have to do it, but I like to help people, because PERS can be very complicated, as people probably know.
Yeah.
And PERS has great folks, but I can give second opinions or meet when it's more convenient for them.
Okay. And Gene, you're staying busy with skiing, if nothing else. Is
Yes,
that right?
very much so. I mean, that's one of my major vices is skiing. But with regard to retirement, my wife is a dozen years younger, and so I was prepared in '06 to retire when my company was being sold. And she said, I want to continue to be busy. And at one time, I wanted to spend my winters in Sun Valley, and she would be working in Portland. And I thought, well, if I do that, we could end up with a divorce, and I don't need that.
That's expensive.
So that's when I ended up going to the state, and I had an opportunity there.
That's great. So we touched on this just a little bit, but I think it bears some emphasis. Using a financial advisor or tax consultant prior to retiring. Now, Gene, you did not use one, is that right?
Correct. I mean, I spent most of my career selling investment real estate to insurance companies and funds, and so I was familiar enough with it. And the options that I had in the 401k gave me opportunities, so I started looking through all of the things that were available and see what made my heart beat fast and give me enough breadth in various things so that I had both stocks and bonds.
So you're talking about diversification.
Exactly.
Sounds like. But now, Brian, you were a professional in this area as well, and you give consulting services now about PERS, and yet you still used a financial professional when you're transitioning. I wonder if you can explain why.
Well, I wanted to know about if I did this move, what would be the tax consequence on that? That's the part I didn't really know, were all the different tax laws that are out there. So that was the main thing. And then different products. I didn't work in investments per se like Gene did. So I wanted to get a professional's perspective on those options.
Now, Pam, what about you? Did you have a professional talk to you about retirement generally, or was it really just taxes like Brian?
You know, I think it was wasn't so much the retirement itself, but it was more about the tax issue. What do you do with your IAP? Do you roll it over? Do you take out a chunk? Do you not? And what do you end up having to pay on it? Do you put money aside from it to be able to deposit later or pay your taxes later? You know, you just kind of need to know ahead of time so you're not doing something that's going to put you in jeopardy when it comes tax time, you know, that you're not going, oh, how did I do this? I can't afford to pay that, you know.
Sure.
So you really kind of have to look at it from the big picture, and they really brought light to that.
Okay. And Gene, you're more of a do-it-yourself kind of person.
Well, I got involved in it and looking at it, particularly with the 401k before I became involved in the OSGB program. And I went through all of the various options there were to see what made my heart beat fast. And for the most part, I'm a fairly aggressive person and I like stocks. Bonds are too passive for me.
Boring, okay.
But that depends on who you are and the individual that you are and what comfort level you have with the ups and downs in the market. And the markets go up and down.
Sure. And Pam, you found it valuable to sort of talk out some of these issues with a professional, is that right?
Yes, because I had no knowledge like Gene has. I mean, I am a simple kind of gal, and I just, you know, do my stuff, and I never think about, you know, the financial backside of it until I had to start really getting into it and understanding kind of, wow, that could affect the future. And how do I know what the effect is going to be? I had no clue. So thank God I had people that I could tap into that were actually available to help me make some informed and wise decisions.
Well, did the three of you feel that you had a good understanding of the PERS system? Brian, you worked for PERS, so you probably had a pretty good understanding.
I did, yes.
Okay. How about the other two? How about Pam? Did you have a good understanding of PERS?
You know, at first I did not. You know, I talked amongst the people in my office and have you gone in and done your account and looked at, you know, the future? And I'm like, heavens no, I had no idea you could even do that. So I had to start kind of getting, you know, into it and seeing and understanding what you need to do. Because retirement was not in my bailiwick. I wasn't going there. And all of a sudden, oh, well, I have reality and it's okay, I can do this. You know, but I had no clue until I kind of fell into it.
Sure.
And when I was able to fall into and start really setting up the account and understanding and looking at my PERS account and my IAP account and understanding what that looks like. And fortunately, I was tier 1 person, so I was very fortunate in that regard, and started really asking the questions and sending emails to folks at PERS asking questions, and what do I do with this, and what does this mean? And then 3 months out, I was able to meet with my person. I can't remember what they call that person.
Retirement counselor? Or?
Yes, the person that actually sits down and says, these are the forms you need to fill out, and this is what we do, and you have to have it in before you, so many days before or months before you actually, the date is, and it was a good experience.
Gene, I'll ask you the same question if you had a good understanding of PERS, but I'll ask you the additional question. Was there anything that you would have liked to have known sooner?
I don't know that it's sooner. I got involved in it fairly quickly once I got involved with the state, and then I started looking at it, and the PERS portion of it, the retirement program, is pretty straightforward. So once you get that figured out, then it's okay. The other part of it is the OSGP portion of it, and that's the one where you can put your own money into it, and I tried to do that and maximize it so that it would be as large as possible.
When you were approaching retirement, I'll ask this to the entire panel, did you create like a checklist of things you needed to consider? Was there a process you went through? Pam, you're nodding.
Well, fortunately, PERS has a checklist.
Okay.
So that you can actually go through and see what needs to be thought of. But I will say, PERS is careful not to direct you or put you in a position where they're going to say, oh, no, this is better for you. You need to go this way versus, no, this is all on you. You got to make your own decisions. And so that to me was a little daunting. It was a little unsettling to me because I just wanted somebody to say, yeah, you're going the right way. And the forms, the checklist really brought light to what I needed to really think about. Hence, knowing that PERS was not going to say, you need to go this way, that's why I engaged a consultant, a person that could come in and kind of look at my big picture, my portfolio of investment or whatever, and make some informed decisions that way.
Brian, did you use the checklist?
Well, she said PERS did have, I had my own personal one though, I guess.
Okay.
It was just, of course your budget stuff, the health insurance again was a biggie. Did I have all my ducks in a row when it came to that? So that was the main items on my checklist.
Gene?
For me, it was sitting down and figuring out, once I retired, did I have enough money to get me through life? And generally speaking, if you retire at 65, you ought to plan to, say, have 30 years worth of income involved in that. And if you're really looking at it with detail, you've got to assume that what you're getting today is okay, but you also have to figure out that there's inflation in it, and inflation's running 2% a year. So in 10 years, it's up 20%. So you're paying $1 today, 10 years from now, you're paying $1.20 for the same thing.
For the same thing. So would you describe that as an unexpected surprise? It seems like you were, you pretty well understood all this.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it took me a while to kind of figure out all the pieces, but once you kind of put them all together, it's a pretty straightforward set of circumstances that you live with.
And people should do that because they might be surprised that they can't afford to retire. I think Pam said that in her own right. She discovered she could. And I think a lot of people, they're so scared that they can't, but maybe they really can.
So you'd recommend participants take a look at it as soon as right now, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
It's never too early, I don't think.
Any surprises that came along when you were planning for retirement or in retirement? Anything good or bad?
Financially, no. Physically, I thought I was in good shape, and then when I retired, I found out I wasn't in good a shape. I went through some soreness, but now I'm in great shape. But
okay.
Do you work out a lot?
I try to.
Yeah.
I have more time for that. That's one of the things I enjoy about retirement, actually.
Yeah.
Well, and actually that's one of the questions. What do you like? I know Pam's got a lot to say about this one. What about retirement do you enjoy the most?
I like spending more time with my wife. I'm happily married for 41 years. And just spending time with her, whether it's just traveling or just doing things around the house. Not having to set an alarm clock. I can get up, go when I want, where I want. I'm not having to fight rush hour traffic anymore. There's a lot of little things, besides just big things.
Pam, you look gung-ho to answer that question.
Yeah, I would agree And I would say that, you know, my husband's retired also, so we are enjoying life together now and going and just taking advantage of so many things, like, you know, going to wineries and breweries and riding the motorcycle and going RVing and camping and just doing fun stuff that we have time to do now, and we can do it during the week versus the weekend where everybody's doing the same thing. It's really fun.
Gene, you're nodding.
Well, but I mean, during the week is perfect.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is working. And what you really end up trying to do is to figure out how to use up the 40 or 50 or 60 hours that you had while you were working with other things. And you volunteer for things, and you get involved in other things, and you do this, as an example.
Well, we're getting pretty close to winding this up, so I'll ask you if there's any final comments that any of the three of you would like to share.
I'd say don't be scared to retire. You know, as long as you have your ducks in a row, and go for it. You're going to have coworkers who are your age or older and they're still working. Well, maybe they have a divorce in their past and they lost half their PERS. Or maybe they just have more expenses than you do. So you just plan for yourself and your family, and if you can do it, do it.
I would probably say take advantage of the help that you can get. You know, the help from PERS, attending meetings, when you get a chance to go and sit down with the teachers, I guess, if you will, that go out and do classes to help you understand that really, and you see people that are like you in the same classes, and it helps you to know, you know, gosh, if they're doing it and we're in the same boat together, kind of, we know our lives are similar, then you feel like you're safe, you know, because the safety issue is really the factor. Well, can I do this and be okay in the future?
If you've planned ahead and you have enough money, that gives you a great comfort level.
Yeah.
And life is a one-run event. Enjoy it.
Okay.
Because you get one shot at it.
Well, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
Not really. I retired when I was 61. Maybe if I might have gone to 60 early social retirement age, Social Security age, because I had to dip into my savings from time to time. Not all the time. I mean, I was able to make it if I went on a house project or something like that. So looking back on it, but no major regrets at all.
Well, Pam, I imagine you would not say you would work longer.
Well, you know, it's hard to say because I loved what I was doing. My job was really fun and I enjoyed the people, and I was fortunate enough to work with a national organization as well. So, you know, I miss those people and I miss the people that I worked with, but regrets, none.
Okay. What about planning for retirement? Would you have done anything differently?
Probably not. I think, you know, you do what you got to do and you move on. You can't look back. You just got to keep going forward.
Gene, how about you?
I might have tried to pay off things sooner. I tried to, when I retired, have as little debt as possible. And I paid off houses and cars and everything else. And so it made life a lot easier to deal with when you didn't have all those things that you had to deal with.
Would you recommend paying off or trying to pay off your primary residence before you retire?
I think it's a great idea personally.
Okay.
I think that's up to the individual, but yes, I did that. And in the work that I was doing before I started with the state, it was up and down. My income would be up and down, and I realized rather quickly that if I had all this debt kind of staring me in the face and it was down, that wasn't good. So I paid it off as quickly as I could.
So that's something you would do differently, is pay it down quicker or pay it off sooner?
I don't know that I got it done any quicker, but if I'd have started and thought about it sooner, it wouldn't have hurt.
Sure. I see some nods over here. How about the two of you? How does it really, like debts, would you pay down your debts a little quicker?
You know, as much as you can. I didn't pay off my house because the advice I got, it wasn't right for me, but I could still make it work within my budget.
Right.
So.
And I agree with that. You know, were some debts, a credit card here, credit card there, and I was fortunate enough to pay those off prior to the actual retirement, so that helped a lot. But yeah, I think that's something you really got to consider when you are retiring, is looking at your debt to cash ratio, if you will, and knowing that what you have now is not going to probably be as much as you had back then. So you have to kind of look at that big picture and know that you got to get rid of this before you can move ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I guess one of the classic questions is, if you were talking to somebody who's a new employee, starting out their career, what advice you would give them?
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
I mean, yeah, but stop and think about it and just sit down and look at it and talk them through the process so that they kind of understand it. Because most people starting in their career don't really have focused on retirement. It's a long ways out, and there's a lot of other things between here and there. Kids and houses and cars and all of those other things.
Right, and think of supplementary. PERS is great, but you need more than just PERS, whether it's a deferred compensation or savings growth plan or an IRA or whatever, or your savings, but to supplement. So it's not just PERS that you're relying on.
Yeah, I would agree with those two suggestions, but I would also probably say, you know, the younger folks, they really got to start looking at the savings issue. And, you know, because right now they move from job to job to job a lot of the times because they're in that millennial type era. And so they look at what's right now. And we got to start really helping them, encouraging them to understand that there's a big picture coming and you got to look to it. You got to really see what's in front of you and not run away from it.
When you're 25, the concept of 65 is so far away.
Right.
Well, I would love it if we had more time. This has been a great conversation. It's full of very valuable information. I'd like to thank our panelists for their time and their support. All of us hope that you enjoyed this video and that you will find it useful in preparing for your retirement. Thank you for watching.